hit him with that snare. I guess I kind of stumbled on this idea of order, chaos, balance. Jordan Peterson, he talks about it a lot in his in his lectures and in his books as well. And it's this idea that to lead a fulfilling life, you want to find the center of order and chaos and find the balance between the two. I guess or what does that mean? Well, order is stability, and it's consistency, and doing the same thing kind of every day and everything that you know. Chaos is everything that you don't know, and it's the anxiety that you have on a daily basis and the other emotions that are kind of associated with that, depression and anger and hatred and all of that. But what he basically says is, to lead a fulfilling life, you need to be exploring chaos, but having one foot in order, and understanding, having a good footing, but exploring the unknown is the most exciting place to be. The thing is with order, which is the main idea behind this EP, is order, whilst it sounds good on the surface, you have everything in your life and strict and rigid, and you know what's going to happen every day, what's happening tomorrow, what will happen in a few weeks, months, years. It's stagnant and rigid and boring. There's nothing that changes, and there's nothing exciting about it. It's the same kind of thing day in. And I even know from my own situation, when I've been in, when everything in my life felt like it was going incredible, I still found myself in states of depression and anxiety, even when on the surface it seemed like everything was going swimmingly. Order, as an EP, is kind of my musical interpretation of what we imagine our lives to be like, living in complete order. We think it's going to be this incredible experience, nothing can go wrong, and the world is a blissful place to live in. But in reality, that's not life. There's always going to be turmoil, and to lead a fulfilling life, at least in my opinion, you need both. You need one to appreciate the other, and vice versa. Yeah, there are some specific parts in the EP which I think represent those core ideas. I mean, with every track I try to approach it and interlink it within that kind of idea and philosophy. Ukiyo, for example, actually means, and I'm probably butchering how to saying the name of that word, but it means floating world. And what I imagined with that track is this life of order that we're all trying to work towards. It's almost like a mirage in the distance. It's a floating world that you can't quite catch. It's something perfect that's in an imperfect world. I guess I was going through a period of just trying to experiment a bit more. I've been writing singles for so long, and I wanted to push myself to be creative and try something new, try something different. And I think every track on the EP has its own story and its own sound, but it still fits within the ecosystem of the EP. When you're creative, or you're being creative, you get a sense of flow and rhythm, and you get stuck in that groove. But it's such a fulfilling place to be, and I think for this EP, I spent a lot of my time in that groove. I think because it's electronic music, there's no words in it, so it is up for interpretation from the listener. My approach to making it might not necessarily come through to whoever's listening to it. In that case, they're just going to be listening to the music. But I'd like to think that people would it would help people's lives in their own way. Even for myself, like for my favourite artists, the tracks that have impacted my life the most, I'm sure when they were writing it, they probably had a completely different idea of how they felt about it, but it's always, I think it's always unique to the listener. I think at the moment why it resonated with me so well is just because I'm always working on music, and I guess when I first heard it, it was really applicable to my music making. Like, there's a lot of anxiety and stress about creating art. I could be better. This could sound better. I should be like this artist. That's like, I kind of see that as like the chaos side of it. You're just like battering yourself, thinking and saying that you could be better. You could just be an overall better artist. But then there's also that order side of it, where you kind of have everything in check, and you're going well, and things are going swimmingly. You feel like a great producer, you feel like a great artist and creative, and you feel like what you're creating could have a really positive impact on someone's life. But I guess what I realised is you can't have one or the other. There's always that interchange. I think to be a successful artist, you do need to doubt yourself at times. You do need to be hard on yourself. Not to the extreme, but to the point where it pushes you to make better art. And that's when I found myself making my best work, is when I'm, like I said before, I'm exploring new ideas, new sounds, new experimentations, but I have one foot in order, what I know already. So, yeah. Oh lord, I didn't have the plug turned on. I was like, where's the sound? I'm always listening to just loads of music. I was a music fan before I made music. So, I've been listening to loads of stuff over the past 6 months that I've been working on this EP, and I created a playlist of kind of all the tracks that I was like, oh, that could work for one of the EPs. But I've got so much random stuff in here, and it's not about like the sound or what they're saying or anything like that. I think it's just like the feeling it gave me, and I wanted to capture that and try and replicate that sort of feeling in the EP. But there's loads of stuff in here, things that are more similar down my lane, and like similar to the music that I make. Caribou, Can't Do Without You, and then Fleet Foxes, The Cascades, woo! And then I've got stuff like Tool right into, because Tool's actually
my favourite band growing up, and then they're a progressive metal band. That was how I really got into music, and they've always just kind of like been there throughout the years. I always end up going back to Tool, and maybe that's why my tunes have like a progressive nature to them, because like Tool, they don't have like specific verse chorus sections. They kind of change throughout the track, and it's never the same thing, and I quite like that, because it's almost like a journey through the song. Yeah. And then there's a lot of stuff in there for the next EP, but we ain't got that far yet. So for this EP, and I guess my music going forward, I wanted to incorporate a lot more of my bass playing, because growing up I was a bass player. That's how I got into music, and I was a bass player first before I was, doing all the electronic stuff, and I kind of lost that over the years. So I've been trying to bring it back, and for this EP, it's littered throughout the project, loads of bass playing, and like, for instance, just experimenting with some like chords, bass chords, and normal notes as well, because I quite like the combination of the two. Having them both in there kind of fills up the frequency spectrum in a nice way. So that bass line kind of just went like. And then when I was writing it, I was like, how can I progress from this riff, I guess, in bass line? And I thought I could just break up what I've already made into just broken chords, I guess. So I ended up with the next section, which was harder to play, but it worked out well. I guess with this EP as well, I wanted to just take my bass playing and see how far I could push it. I mean, this is because you can do a lot with a simple source sound and all of the technology that we kind of have available today. I mean, the other day I was working on this, which is literally just some bass chords. It's pretty simple, but if you reverse it and then, add some effects, basically I kind of just employed a feedback and a thermal, which is basically saturation, distortion, and you end up with something that's like completely different and changes the vibe completely. Oh, that was a bit loud. I like that idea of taking something and changing it into something completely new. And there's no like witchcraft or magic at play, it's just experimentation and stumbling across things that you might not have expected. I live in a world of happy accidents.